This is Nick.
Hello.
This is Lucas.
Hi.
It's 2011 and these two best friends have just learned that over 116,000 people are experiencing homelessness in Australia.
That's outrageous.
And they had the idea of starting a free mobile laundry service for the homeless. But first, they finished school, lived life a little, travelled a little. 2 years later, Nick and Lucas decided to have a go at making their mobile laundry service happen.
Washers?
Yep,
Dryers?
definitely.
A van?
Go halvesies.
Deal.
They decided to hit up a big laundry company to get some washers and dryers.
They're going to love this idea.
No one is going to wash their clothes in a park. Washing machines don't work in a van. It's a crazy dream. It won't work.
So that's a yes?
Carolyn agreed and gave Nick and Lucas a set of machines. From there, it was time to build.
Behold, Sudsy.
Let's go.
This is Jordan, and he wants to know what this is all about.
What's this all about?
Jordan, this is Sudsy.
They explain that it's a van that can wash and dry clothes on the spot.
Want to give it a go?
Sure.
We'll be back tomorrow.
Hey, Carolyn, remember when you said washers don't work in a van? You're right, they don't.
Can we have another set, please?
Let's go.
Hey, Nick. Hey, Lucas.
Hey, sorry we let you down yesterday, Jordan. Should we try again?
We need to make this work. Jordan, we'll be back.
Nick and Lucas had a proposition for Carolyn.
Hey, Carolyn, would you like to be on the board of Orange Sky?
Impressed by their entrepreneurial spirit, she agrees.
Seeing as you're on the board now, how about another set of machines? Let's go. Nick, Jordan came back.
Hey, Nick. Hey, Lucas.
Not knowing what to do next, Nick and Lucas started chatting with Jordan while they waited. Lucas found that Jordan had studied engineering at the same university. The only difference was that Jordan had hit some tough times. Since then, we've helped people just like Jordan all over Australia by washing and drying their clothes, but more importantly, by having genuine and non-judgmental conversations. And it all started here, with two friends in a van called Sudsy and a simple conversation.
Well, a crazy dream that did in fact work. Hello everybody and welcome to this Facebook live chat with Orange Sky Laundry. My name's Kay McGrath and you probably know me best from 7 News. I'm also co-chair of the State Government's Domestic and Family Violence Prevention Council, and it is a great pleasure to be a guest host here this evening. Well, we're certainly living in very uncertain times. Nothing seems to be the way it once was. For instance, I've never hosted a Facebook live chat before. But we're being asked to keep our distance, to isolate from one another in order to get on top of this COVID-19 virus. And that is in order particularly to protect the vulnerable people amongst us. That means that our usual go-tos, our familiar daily events, simply may not be there. And that can become very unsettling. Orange Sky Laundry has become a reliable, reassuring, practical part of the landscape, not just here in Queensland, but right around Australia. At the helm, of course, are Nick and Lucas, and if anybody can innovate in these challenging times, it's these two lads. I've known them both, I'm happy to say, since they were schoolboys in short pants and long socks. Tonight is all about being alone together with Luke and Lucas and Nick and some other important members of the team. So let's hand over to one of the best storytellers I know, Nick Marchesi. You've told this story many times, and it's familiar to a lot of people. But remind us exactly how Orange Sky came to be.
Thank you, Kay, and thank you for your help with this new project. I guess the feeling was exactly the same as it is now. You know, Lucas and I were incredibly nervous, and we weren't too sure what was ahead of us. But it was October 2014, and Lucas and I had a crazy idea. We wanted to improve hygiene standards of people doing it tough, and like that video said, there was 116,000 people out there in our own backyard that didn't have access to things that we took for granted. Those simple things like a clean shirt, someone to talk to, knowing where your next night is going to be or where your next meal is going to be. So a crazy idea in Brisbane to put 2 washing machines and 2 dryers in the back of a van and simply drive it around and wash and dry clothes for free. And we met Jordan, and I can remember being incredibly nervous waking Jordan up and saying, I know this sounds crazy, but that van over there, it's got 2 washers, 2 dryers in it. We can wash and dry your clothes for free. And Lucas, meanwhile, had set the van up and everything was going perfectly. And Jordan trusted us with his only possessions in his life. And we put them in the machine. And as you now know, the machine broke. And we'd been added to that long list of people throughout Jordan's life that had let him down. And Lucas and I were by no means proud that we'd been on that list. So went back the next morning and the exact same thing happened. And went back that third morning and were completely surprised that everything worked perfectly. And we realised that morning that our mission of improving hygiene standards would only be such a small part of what we do. Our mission that we're so proud of is positively connecting communities. And we always talk about not letting people like Jordan down. And last Monday, we let people down. Our vans that would normally go out over 320 times a week around Australia and New Zealand, they didn't go out. Our 2,000 volunteers that trust us with their time and their opportunity to connect and some of the biggest highlights of their week, they got let down. Our vans can go out. And for our donors that trust us with their generosity of why we can operate, we couldn't operate. And I guess the time for us has been a massive reminder that we had potentially become immune to the impact that our service was happening. You know, it's something we're so proud of, 1.2 million kilos of free laundry, 13,000 safe watch showers every week on orange chairs, 1,300 hours of conversations that would take place. And I think that, you know, I was incredibly proud of that. But I think now looking back on it, we took that for granted. We took going outside for granted. We took being able to wash and dry clothes and help people with those basic human rights. We took them for granted. And it's been such a difficult 2 weeks. It's been such a difficult time for people globally. We're reminded of those simple things. Hygiene, connection is something that not only are 116,000 people facing every night, it's something that the whole world is facing. And it's been something that I've been absolutely blown away with, is that we're reminded of those simple things that we have taken for granted, that is now having a big impact on all of us around the world. So, you know, never before have we been more excited to continue our mission, and I think never before has our mission been important. But we're struggling. We're struggling to find out how we can run our services. And this morning was just like in October 2014, where we went out again, and we had a bright orange van. It had 2 washers and 2 dryers in it. We were in Brisbane, except the service was different. The world is a different place now, but what was the same were the conversations and those connections.
Yeah. And I'd have to pull you up a little bit there, Nick. I think you're being a bit hard on yourself by saying you've let people down. It is what it is currently, and we all have to abide by the rules if we want to get on top of this pandemic. And you should be so proud of the people that you have connected with and the assistance that you've given over the time that you and Lucas and the Orange Sky vans and volunteers have been on the streets. So that's a little bit of background there on the wonderful work that you're doing and the difference, the real difference that you're making to so many people in our communities around the country. Let's focus perhaps now a little bit more on the present, what is happening right now, but also the possible future. Let's bring in your other half, Nick. Let's bring in Lucas. And I have fond memories, I have to tell you, of you, Lucas, finishing my youngest son's maths assignment a number of years ago. Always grateful for that. Lucas, tell us, what is the plan going forward in the days ahead?
Absolutely, and it was definitely a team effort with me and your son, Kay. Don't worry, I wasn't doing them on behalf of him by any means. But I think what we are really seeing is that, like Nick talked about, we did have to press pause on our shifts for a period of time. We've now found a way that we think it can work with the current landscape, and now what we want to do is really roll this back out. So ramp back up those amazing teams of volunteers, those amazing service providers that we partner with, but also reimagine what a shift could look like, and who are the people that we can be supporting, and what we know, and or what we don't know yet is really what after this, I suppose, we get back to whatever normal life is, what the increased demand on Orange Sky services is going to look like. So yeah, it's a bit of unknown at the moment, but what we know is that Orange Sky is going to be needed in the short term, it is going to be needed in the medium term, and it is going to be needed in the long term. And we really want to make sure that we don't let that conversation stop. We continue all those amazing connections that we have built over the last 5.5 years, and continue to build on those from there.
They are tough times and challenging. So many businesses and corporations, giant corporations and small not-for-profits. So many organisations are being challenged to find new and innovative ways to continue their good work. Tough times, and staying positive, active and calm and clear can be quite a challenge, and it's perfectly normal, I think, for all of us to feel a little uncertain. But really, I think, and this is what tonight is all about, and this chat is showing people how important it is to reach out and stay connected, and how it is possible to do that these days with technology. Let's take a look, speaking of technology, at the new campaign that Orange Sky has created, which focuses on the importance of that connection wherever you might be. Let's have a look.
Australia is caught in a diabolical dilemma.
Biggest disruption to daily life many of us will ever experience.
Retailers still have to pay rent and wages with zero customers.
You inevitably feel the frustration of being confined to your home. Yes, be thankful that you have one.
Homeless organisations right around Australia, they're going to be overrun.
G'day guys, it's Ben from Brisbane, and I miss my connection to the Ivory Street shift.
Hi, it's Brad from Sydney, and I miss my connection to the Belmore Park shift.
Leslie from the Sunshine Coast, and I miss my connection with the Daily Bread shift.
Hi, it's Narelle from the Central Coast. At the moment I'm missing all of the shifts that I participate in.
It's Nick from Brisbane, and I miss my connections at the Ivory and Wickham Park shifts.
Kia ora, I'm Kathy from Wellington, New Zealand. I miss my connection with the Compassion Soup Kitchen shift.
It's Tess from Melbourne, and I miss my connection to Preston shift.
I don't want the conversation to stop.
I don't want the conversation to stop.
I don't want the conversation to stop.
So we need to continue connection.
So we need to continue the connections.
Now's time to dig deep. We need help. We need you. Please donate now.
We need your help.
Please donate now.
Make sure you donate at Orange Sky today.
Well, some beautiful souls there, and kia ora to the Kiwi viewers as well. We're thinking of you over there too. So many wonderful people working hard to maintain the connection. We have a couple of them joining us live now online. Let's check in with the wonderful Miriam Clarkson. And Miriam is joining us from Melbourne. And I believe you've been working with the Orange Sky crew since, what, 2015? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Almost 5 years now, Kate. It's been, it seems like a long time, but like we said before, it's fun. It goes fast when you're having fun.
Yeah, what is it that you get out of this, Miriam? I know volunteering can be very rewarding. What do you take from it?
Well, it's for me, I find it a privilege just to hear people's stories and their resilience of how they're getting through each day with so many things maybe going not so well in their lives at the time. And often when you hear the stories of people coming out the other end of homelessness and being finding a place to live, it's those kind of joys that keep you coming back and pushing on.
Yeah,
It's great.
I bet they do. Tell us, what was a normal day like for you and the team in Melbourne before COVID-19?
Yeah, so we had about 25 shifts operating around Melbourne on a good week. Obviously, the last week we've had to shut down, which is quite sad. But it's we're about 180 volunteers running those shifts every week, which is a great number of people committed to coming out every time and having chats with people.
How are you? You've already said you're feeling sad, and we understand that. And I guess, how are the rest of the volunteers feeling?
Yeah, well, I think volunteering becomes part of your identity. It's when it when that is taken away, you kind of feel lost or guilty that you're not doing it anymore, or you feel sorry, obviously, for people that you met, the friends that we helped, wondering how they're going, and it's not being able to find out really, and
Yeah.
just hope that they're getting the things they need at this time.
How do you think, or what sort of reception will you expect when we get through this? Because we will get through this.
Oh, well, I hope it was understood, the reason for stopping, and I've had contact with one of our friends who obviously he used to come along quite a lot. He would come along mainly for the connections. I think he did do his washing, but just to come and chat with people, and that was the way he connected with people outside of his home. He came and spoke to the volunteers on shifts. Yeah.
So important.
So I hope, yeah.
And sorry, I cut you off. You hope he's doing okay?
Yeah, I hope he's doing okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we hope they all are down there in Melbourne, and I'm sure you will be busy again, hopefully in the not too distant future. Miriam, we wish you and the 180 volunteers down there in Melbourne all the very best. Thanks for joining us tonight. We really appreciate not only your commitment to Orange Sky, but joining us here tonight for this live chat. All the best.
No worries, Kay. Thanks.
Nice to chat. Let's move to Sydney now, where Brad joins us. Brad, you've spent a lot of time with our friends in Sydney over the past 4 years. Can you share with us how it felt when the reality struck that you would actually have to hit the pause button and couldn't be going out anymore?
Yeah, hi, Kate. It was really, really tough. We started by pausing a couple of shifts but still keeping a lot running. But as COVID-19 developed, things were changing every single day. And we got to a point last week where we had to pause all shifts, and that was really tough. Just knowing that the people that we go out to help every day were going to be doing it tougher than they normally do, and missing our services and others.
You must have been hanging on to a bit of hope there to begin with, because there was sort of conflicting information really to begin with for a while, and perhaps you could have remained an essential service, but clearly not.
Yeah, we I think the thing with the whole thing as it unfolded, it just changed so rapidly. The information coming out was a bit conflicted, and it was changing every single day, almost hourly on some days. So we did hope to keep shifts running as much as we possibly could, but unfortunately we just had to push that pause button last week.
What sort of feedback have you had from your volunteers, Brad, in Sydney?
Mostly just concern for our friends out there. We've got nearly 300 volunteers in Sydney that are out there every day of the week, sort of days and nights on most days. And they build relationships and with our friends and have concerns that, how are the friends coping with all this and missing out on services and just missing that connection that they've built up over so long as well.
And I guess for a lot of people watching this, we're getting some insights, aren't we, into what the Friends of Orange Sky perhaps experience every day of their lives before this pandemic arrived.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think everybody's starting to get a bit of an insight into that isolation and having to stay home and not just be able to go out with your friends each day and see people that you're used to seeing, whether that's in a workplace or school or just in a social setting. Everybody's kind of isolated, which is the thing that friends deal with all the time. And one of the biggest things that Orange Sky provides, that connection and just having a chat on the orange chairs is so important to people.
Yeah. Brad, just finally, how do you think the role of Orange Sky will change once this crisis has passed? Because it will pass.
Yeah, absolutely. It will pass and we will get through it. I think, sadly, we're probably going to be busier than ever. It's going to be a matter of just reconnecting with people, and people understand why we've had to push the pause button, but it's still been very difficult. So I think getting out there, reconnecting with people, and I think there's going to be more people to reconnect with as this sort of crisis unfolds. Once we get through the initial part of the pandemic, there's going to be more and more people just needing that connection and a little bit of assistance.
Yeah, I'm afraid that's going to be a reality. And thank goodness that you and the rest of the wonderful volunteers are there. Brad, thank you for joining us from Sydney, and we wish you and the volunteers down there all the very best, and hope that you are flat out sooner rather than later. Thanks, Brad.
Great.
Brad.
Thanks, Kay. Thank you.
Let's go to Lennox Head, lovely Lennox Head in New South Wales now, and I believe Belinda Seaton is going to join us. Belinda, you've recently helped Orange Sky start a new service in the Northern Rivers there. What's the feeling in your community like at the moment? Do we have Belinda? I'm not sure that we can hear. So what we might do is
throw to me. Hey Kay, how you going?
Oh, there you are. I've been looking for you. I'm looking for you down here, and you weren't there, but you were there. Lucas, welcome back.
Yes, thanks for having me.
So we didn't get to see beautiful Northern Rivers in New South Wales. You've been busy over the last few days. You've been in a very responsible manner, I believe, out on the streets, checking in with some of Orange Sky's friends. Can you tell us how they're getting on and give us a bit of feedback?
Yeah, absolutely. We've a few people from our team have been connecting with a lot of our friends, and we've had a broad range of different feedback. Even if it's someone like Harry, who's one of the absolute icons here in Brisbane, who is an older fella, so definitely in the at-risk category, and what's keeping a low profile. He's not coming down as often as he normally would, but what he's really excited for is Orange Sky coming back for more services if and when that does happen. So I know that all the volunteers on a Tuesday and Friday morning here in Brisbane are looking forward to catching up with Harry again. If it's someone like Roz, who we talked about over Christmas, and she was one of the people featured throughout our Christmas sort of appeal, and what Roz is someone who's so passionate about supporting people around her, and she's talking about how that disconnection, how much that's amplified through this whole situation. And really, so many people on the streets who are so disconnected, and now it's almost amplified even further by that idea of social distancing. And so we're hearing so much feedback. Or if it's Mick, a friend down in Sydney who said he's really understanding. People on the streets are being really understanding how Orange Sky has had to pause, but is really excited for it to come back and to have those connections with all the different volunteers. So I suppose from the feedback we've been getting, it's that people understand, but also I'm incredibly excited for it to come back. So to have the trial shift today up here in Brisbane was really exciting to put in some more steps and more checks and balances to make sure that we can provide our service in the safest and the best way. It was a really positive step in the right direction in starting that journey back to having more and more shifts up there. We've got heaps of volunteers asking, when their shift's going to be up, back and running. We're working frantically in the background to really make as many steps as we can to get that up and running. And we'll be in contact very soon to let everyone know how that's all going to happen.
Brilliant. And I'm sure there is, as you say, so much understanding amongst all your friends that, and you will get that huge warm welcome back, I'm sure. It's probably time we wound up this Facebook chat. Nick, can I come to you for any closing remarks?
Absolutely, Kay. I like having a chat, and I got in a bit of trouble for talking too much, so sorry to chew into everyone's time. But I think if there was 2 points from me. One would be that a lot of our volunteers are reaching out and saying when will shifts come back, and a lot of friends are asking when shifts come back. And like you said, we definitely know that our services are needed, and we're really keen to get them back as soon as possible. We sent communications out to all of our volunteers at 4 o'clock today, and we're asking you to register to volunteer in this new community response. And what that response looks like is trying to get as many shifts safely back as possible. So our biggest priority is keeping our community safe and keeping our friends safe and helped our volunteers safe, and our supporters engaged. So that would be my biggest message, is that we are coming back and we are going to keep services continuing, and that's something that I'm spending a lot of my time on. And the second point would be to jump onto our website and check out this campaign, and we can't let the conversation stop. And I think Lucas really is probably the best to talk through that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And what we've talked about is how, what we need to do is really figure out what the model looks like for the next few months while we're in this social isolation, social distancing phase. Then what we need to do is then implement that across all of our shifts, and then I suppose prepare ourselves for what we think is going to be an increased demand. So orangesky.org.au/donate. You can support, I suppose, the journey for Orange Sky back to normal operations, and then growing from there to make it all happen, and appreciate everyone's support.
Well said, lads. And again, congratulations on the wonderful work that you and the entire crew are doing. It's so valuable, and you will be back with a vengeance, I'm sure. So thank you, everybody. We're going to wind this up now. Thanks for tuning in. Let's stick together as much as we can during this time, and please do remember you're not alone. If you are feeling lonely, isolated, anxious perhaps, or unsafe, then can I encourage you to reach out to services such as Lifeline, Kids Helpline, Beyond Blue, DV Connect. These services are geared up, and they continue to respond and provide support and advice during these challenging times. So let's stick to the rules. Let's look after yourselves and look after others. Be kind to one another. Stay in touch. Continue the connection however you can. And we will get through this together. If you're able, please make a donation to the wonderful crew at Orange Sky Laundry. But for now, good night and stay safe.